So the reason that you clicked on this video is that you're in a long distance relationship and you're struggling. If you are, put in the comments #me, because I just want to highlight that what you're going through is more common than you think. In this video, I'll be helping you with this by just providing you with a bit of support and a few tips. So this being a mental wellbeing channel, this isn't a video where I'm going to give you a load of relationship advice. For that, there are so many videos on YouTube and there's so much material everywhere else. But what I am here to offer you today is not only how to survive in the situation that is a long distance relationship, but to thrive in it by taking care of you. My name is Nigel Mayo and welcome to my channel. So the past year or so hasn't exactly been kind to us due to the
unknown virus of unspecified origin.
And in turn hasn't exactly helped anyone in a long distance relationship either. So unless you're actually living close enough that it isn't really too much of a big deal, it can be really difficult. So in just a moment I'm going to take you through some coping mechanisms to not just get by, but to actually thrive when you can't be with your significant other. But I'm going to get to that in just a moment. Right now I'm going to tell you where all this top-notch advice is coming from. So I've known my wife for about 10 or 11 years and I've been married to her for 6 of them. Actually it's just over 6.5 now. And believe it or not, we're still in a long-term relationship. Of course we are, we're married. What I meant to say was in all that time we're still in a long distance relationship. Yeah, 10 years of knowing her, 6 years of marriage. Oh my god, really? I know, right? That being said, even though yes, it's a solid relationship and yes, we love each other very much, it's not the ideal situation and yeah, it's not exactly a picnic. We usually only see each other every 6 months or so, and even then it's only for about 3 or 4 weeks at a time. In fact, a month ago we parted ways after about 5 months of her being over here. And by the way, if you're thinking, hang on, that's a really long time to go without seeing each other, the situation is that I live in the UK and she lives in the US. So for all intents and purposes, it can get a bit expensive when we want to see each other. So at the best of times, when she's only here for a short amount of time, it's really heartbreaking to be having to go to the airport and saying goodbye all the time. But after her being here for about 5 months or so, when we had to part ways this time, let me tell you, it wasn't pretty. The thing is, when you're in another continent from each other, even if it's in another town, country, whatever, you're hyper aware when you do spend time with each other that it's on a timer. And because of that, every second that you take apart, so whether you have to go to work, down the store, even like if it's for about an hour, every argument that you have, any time that you feel that it's wasted, it's blown up way so much in your mind. And when it comes time to finish that phone call or part ways at the airport or send her on a bus or whatever, then you really do feel a huge wave of guilt, because you're thinking for every argument that you had, every day that you went to work, that is time that you could have spent with them. And not only would this take a certain amount of toll on your relationship, but it's also going to take a certain amount of toll on your own mental health as well. And that's what we're going to be focusing on in this video. Okay, so I'm not going to say that the relationship itself isn't important, but there's loads of YouTube videos, there's loads of source material, articles, whatever. There's lots of stuff that covers that side of things. What I'm here to do right here, right now, is to help you take care of you. And what this will do is contribute to a healthier long distance relationship, and it will lead to you thriving in it. And we're starting right now. Don't let the well-wishers grind you down. Anyone would be lucky enough to have a solid circle of friends and family to help them through the difficult times. But in a long distance relationship, that can be detrimental to your mental health. But Salad Cream Boy, you stallion of a YouTuberist, I hear you say. What do you mean it can be detrimental? Well, dear viewer, allow me to enlighten you. So at the beginning of any relationship, it's nice, new, sweet, and you're gonna be on cloud 9, despite the distance. And obviously you're gonna start telling everyone about the new positive thing in your life. And the thing is, because your partner isn't with you all the time and it's not in everyone's faces, you're going to get a lot of questions about it. In a lot of respects, you are going to be the center of attention because long distance relationships, it's not something that everyone goes through. However, no matter how good you feel about it at the start of the relationship, it is crucial how you promote it, as it can influence the way people are with you later on. But something that's common with long distance relationships is that it can go on for a little while, and you might get to the point where things aren't going as quickly as you really want them to. And don't get me wrong, you are grateful for the relationship and you love your partner so very much, but you don't necessarily want to be reminded all the time that you're not together. And you're starting to get a bit anxious when people are asking about it. And the thing also is that you know they care for you, you know they love you, and you know they only have your best interests at heart. But the constant, what feels like the third degree, is just a constant reminder that they're not with you anymore, and it's hurting more than it's helping. And believe it or not, I'm actually going through the same thing here with the situation with my wife, that I'm just feeling like I'm dying a death of 1,000 paper cuts. In fact, you do start to withdraw from the subject, and you not so much as mention your partner's name lest you get subject to that third degree. And I can actually give you an example here. So you might say, okay, my wife, she has just got her hair dyed, or she's just done this thing with the dog where she's taken the dog to Starbucks to give her whipped cream. So that's, I believe, called a dogacino or something along those lines. Anyway, my point being, it can go in a normal conversation like that, say just mention the smallest of things, and then it's like, when you're going to see her again, it must be hard, it must be so difficult for you. When's all this stuff going to, well, how long it's going to be when you're actually together? And you think to yourself, hang on a minute, I've already explained this situation how many times, and that's not what I actually said to prompt that. You shouldn't have even said that at all. All I said was, and bearing in mind in any normal situation that you're speaking about your partner in the fact that, okay, they've just dyed their hair, and they say, oh, what colour is it? So what kind of product do they use? Because I'm thinking of doing that myself, etc, etc. Not dyed my hair, how long is it going to take to get here? That isn't a normal conversation to have by any means. When you're put in that situation, you really do start to not talk about them. You really don't want to go through that every time again and 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 again. Okay, I get it, that might be an extreme situation, and yeah, that is a situation that I am personally in. And yeah, sometimes I am put in a situation where I need to start being rude about it because there are only so many times that you can say a thing. But this is a huge deal, and it is something that can force you back into your shell. And you don't have to be on separate continents to experience this. My advice is that you're honest about your feelings as soon as it starts to become an issue for you. And repetition, like anything else, is key. The more you push that you're absolutely not okay talking about something, the sooner people are just going to steer clear of it. In theory, let's put it this way, some people might need a bit more encouragement than others, like for example a high five to the face with a brick. The issue with this, of course, is that it's obviously human nature to huddle around people that you care about when they're going through a rough patch. And it is difficult to know where the line is and where the boundaries are. But it can be so much harder to draw that line and establish those boundaries. Because again, you know that these people are only saying all this stuff because they care about you. They're just not going about it in the wrong way, and you don't want to hurt their feelings. But in this situation, it really does need to be the case where you do draw that line in the sand and establish those boundaries. It's for your own sake, and trust me, you will thank me for it later. If you are going to not only survive but thrive in a long distance relationship, it's just something that you're going to need to have to do to take care of yourself. And sometimes that means taking a stand. Keep busy. I think it's fair to say that the phrase absence makes the heart grow fonder is never truer than when you're in a long distance relationship. It's difficult enough when you're in a normal close relationship and your partner goes away with their friends for a couple of days. Imagine that all of the time. So whether or not you realise it, that distance is going to leave a huge hole in you, and it's something that you need to fill. Okay. easier said than done, but filling your hole needs to be your top priority here. Anyway, this is actually one of the reasons why I started this YouTube channel. Other than genuinely wanting to help you guys, the viewers, it actually does work. Don't get me wrong, it's not the only thing I use to fill my hole. I mean, the hole. Not the only thing I use to fill the hole, as in the void that's been left by my other half not being here. Not the other thing, that's just gross. Okay, so someone please leave in the comments another analogy I can use apart from this. I really am firing blanks here. My point is that other than just sitting there and let the devil make work for your idle hands, you need to make work for those hands yourself. Yeah. This video is just a minefield of innuendo, isn't it? But going on that subject, I want you to check out the movie 40 Days and 40 Nights, or 40 Nights and 40 Days, whichever way around it is. If you purchase and watch that video, I'll even leave a link in the description, well, an affiliate link. I want you to get that and you'll kind of know what I'm talking about, and you'll probably, more likely than not, resonate with it. And trust me, you'll get my meaning. Okay, when I say keep busy, I don't just mean get the Xbox out or turn on the TV. Yes, it is a distraction, but what I'm saying is you need to fill your time. Oh, thank God. I meant to say time there. I'm glad I did, not whole or anything like that. So as I was saying, fill your time with meaning and stuff that's going to make a positive difference in your life. So this could mean cleaning your home from top to bottom so that you got a nice, serene, clean, tidy place to, you know, chill, relax in. Not only clean, but declutter your space, because when you declutter your space, you start to declutter your mind. You may even want to consider going for a walk because, you know, exercise has been proven to support your mental well-being. If there are any projects that you want to start or have been meaning to start, whether that's professional, domestic, or even personal, what I suggest is now's the best time as any. Just start them, because what you'll be doing is filling your life with positive things and achievements. Just think of how good it's going to feel when your space is fresh, tidy, and you're actually able to find things that you're looking for and you're not tripping all over the place. You're even going to feel a million times better when you start exercising regularly. So when the time comes when you get on the phone or actually speak to your other half and they ask you the question, how's your day been? You actually have answers for them, and it can be a much more fulfilling conversation, as opposed to, well, just watching TV and playing video games. Learn something new. Trust me on this one, it is never ever too early or late to learn a new skill. I'll give you a couple of examples. The first one, it actually took me, I don't know, about 2-3 hours to teach my grandmother how to use a cordless phone. I'm not even talking about a smartphone, I mean a landline cordless phone, to actually type the buttons in and press send. 2 to 3 hours. My point being, however, is that no matter how long it took, she did it. Another example is at work, I actually taught a 93-year-old woman, 93, how to request her medications online, and also a bit of an extension of that, how to do things like online shopping and various other things for herself. And yeah, she was so eternally grateful for me for that, but also kudos to her. Again, 93, and she's doing online shopping and all the stuff that she needs to do to take care of herself. If they can do that, then there's absolutely no excuse for any of us to be able to learn a new skill. And the thing is, this doesn't even need to be online training or an intensive course. Again, another example of this is yesterday I taught myself how to cook an egg in 3 different ways. Okay, I'm not exactly going to be winning any Nobel Prizes for this, but it's learning nonetheless. And now I can do something that I wasn't able to do before. And a year ago, I had the idea to start a mental health YouTube channel, and what I did once I started is just research the absolute double hockey sticks out of it. And then all I did was press record on my phone camera. which, believe it or not, a year later is still what I'm using to film my videos. I'm filming this video right now with my smartphone. My point there being is that it's not necessarily about the tools or anything that you have, or if you have the patience or anything else. It's about the motivation to simply get up and go. Honestly, the hardest part of it is simply starting, and everything else is going to fall into place, and all you got to do then is the work. And yes, I know, the motivation might not be there, and the purpose of this video isn't to make you feel bad about that. But guess what? The reason that you clicked on this video is the fact that you're ready to start taking action. And that, my friend, is what we're going to do. So there's one thing I gotta say, and there's one thing that I'm going to offer. So firstly, the thing I gotta offer is that, okay, it's a bit much to cover in this one video, in this one section, so I've actually got a separate video where I go through how to get motivated fast, and I'm going to leave that in the description below. And the one thing I have to say is that every single thing that you do, every task you complete, no matter how big or small it is, and no matter how big or small the thing is that you learn, even if it is something as simple as just how to cook an egg, which I've mastered, by the way, everything you do right now is contributing to building a better life for you and your partner, so that once you actually do get everything sorted, you're together, visas are sorted, you're living in the same place, everything, then you have all these skills and it's all done. So all you need to do now is just enjoy your time together. And isn't that ultimately what all of us want to do? So now that you've done the work, you can enjoy your time together, and more importantly, your hole is now filled. Connect with people. Yes, okay, I know what I said earlier, but what you don't want is to put yourself in a situation where you become some kind of Gollum from Lord of the Rings. My precious! Humans, by our very nature, are social creatures, so we need those connections. Just ensure that what I talked about earlier about establishing those boundaries are done, just so it's not an issue for you. You don't want to have to put a disclaimer out there every time you have a conversation with someone and it's moving in that direction. All you need to do is just politely tell them that it's a sore subject and just move past it. It really is the case that no man or woman is an island. Without filling your life with, well, life, it's only going to have a negative effect when you do finally speak or actually spend time with your partner. And it's going to start feeling more and more like a chore rather than actually being excited to speak to them. And trust me on this, I've been there, and it is so difficult to get out that mindset where you're more comfortable in your own company than you are with others. And when you're in a relationship with someone else, whether it's long distance or not, that can be fatal. So again, the more time that you spend alone, it's going to be more difficult to spend time with your loved one. So my advice is, get out there. Self-care. So at this point, I was actually going to dive into exercise, but you know what? That is actually part of self-care. A good self-care regime can not only boost your mood and make you feel better about yourself, but it's also good for long distance relationships as well. And it's a great way of filling in that time that you're apart. I've actually taken this idea from About a Boy, so allow me to enlighten you. Hugh Grant plays a guy called Will Freeman who lives a serene, luxurious life devoid of responsibilities. This is due to the fact that his father had a hit with a song and he's living off the royalties. So okay then, what's this got to do with a long distance relationship? My point is that because he doesn't have all the responsibilities, it doesn't need to work, he's obviously got a lot of time on his hands that he needs to fill. So what he did with every day is split it up into 30-minute segments. So he might do things like do half an hour of snooker, half an hour watching the TV, getting his hair cut, self-care regimes. And what he started to find was, once all these slots get filled up, that there isn't actually enough time in the day to do anything else. Okay, yeah, so later in the movie, being a movie, there's obviously a plot twist that changes later, but I'm not going to ruin that for you. What I will say is that I highly suggest buying it, because I know it's something that you're really going to relate to. So I'm going to leave again an affiliate link in the description below, so if you want to purchase it, then go for it, you got that link. It really is going to resonate. But my point is that even though yes, this is an extreme case in the movie, that it is actually a sound idea and it can be used to positive effects to fill that gap in your life, especially if it's down to a long distance relationship. So how does this relate to self-care? Well, it would be beneficial to assign a certain amount of time, again 30 minutes, to do things like grooming, taking a shower, exercising, maybe meal prep, and also something I'm going to get into in just a moment, a good nighttime routine. It's actually something I've made a 10-part playlist over, how to get to sleep fast when you have anxiety. The link to this is going to show at the end of the video, so keep going, you're almost there. The reason I mention this is that if you are doing WhatsApp calls, Skype calls, or I don't know, Zoom meetings or anything like that, it is really going to suck if you're too tired to speak to your partner. And you don't need me to tell you that that's not only just going to be detrimental to your general health, but to your relationship as well. So I also just mentioned meal prep as well. Okay, so this is coming from a guy that mostly just had soup and maybe 4 or 5 pieces of bread all of the time. But believe it or not, I actually have changed to doing a cooked breakfast, doing myself a good meal at the end of the day where I can actually split it into about 2-3 days worth. And what I've done there is do something that makes me feel that, yeah, I can take care of myself now. And when you start doing that, not only will people at work, your friends and family, but also, more importantly to the point of this video, your partner will. It could be your mood, the way you're speaking, skin tone, anything, even the fact that you may have lost weight. Your partner is going to pick up on that immediately. And what it's also going to do is put them at ease, because they're going to be safe in the knowledge that they don't need to worry about you taking care of yourself while you're apart. Trust me, I get it from my wife all of the time. She knows what I'm talking about. And not just that, as I said, you're going to have more energy, you're going to feel better in yourself, and you're going to feel like you've finally got some control over your life. Because being in a long distance relationship, it can feel that some of that control has been taken away from you. Give yourself a break. Okay, so you don't need me to tell you that this situation isn't easy. Life is hard enough to manage when your partner's actually physically there with you. It's even worse when they're not. It can feel like that it's just another thing that you have to juggle along with things like work, your friends and family, your time for yourself, hobbies, bills, debts. Give yourself a break. We are all only human. Your partner will understand if you miss a call or two, just as long as you communicate why that is. It is not your responsibility to be the glue that holds your social life together or your professional life together and the people that you know and your friends, family, work, colleagues. It is okay to feel that you're not where you really want to be, and you are entitled to have those vulnerable moments. When you're in a long distance relationship, it does kind of feel like you're leading a double life, because you kind of are. It's difficult enough these days to hold together a single life. So yeah, don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. And more importantly, don't let your pride be the detriment of your mental well-being. The very fact that you clicked on this video shows that you want to get your life together and you're going to be proactive about it. You, my friend, like the rest of us, can only do your best. So give yourself a break. If you can take care of yourself, the relationship is going to sort itself out later. But right now, you need to do the best thing that's good for you. Because it's like I always say, at the end of the day, it gets dark. As I mentioned earlier, the bottom video here will lead you to my 10-part playlist on how to sleep when you have anxiety. The top one is what YouTube thinks will help you next. Remember, if you got value from this content, smash that like button and subscribe if you want more content that's going to help you with your mental well-being.